Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan Chat. Hope you're all doing well. It looks like the deal is all but done. It looks like it's going to be concluded in the next few days with Juventus' people coming over to sort this out. And it's definitely going to be done before the transfer window closes on Thursday the 8th of August. That's the day before the Premier League season starts with the Liverpool's game against Norwich. So I said it for the last few days, it looks like this is going to happen. Reports in the press have been written in such a way that I felt there'd been a briefing by City to certain members of the press about Leroy Sané in particular, but also potentially about Cancelo. It looks like it's going to happen now because Danilo hasn't travelled for the Community Shield game against Liverpool today, and so yeah, he's not injured. There's no news about that, so it looks like he's obviously been left behind to sort out and finalise this deal. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about this deal because it's been kind of on and off. Earlier in the summer, City wanted Cancelo, and we made an offer to Juve, and eventually I think the offer ended up as we'll sell you Danilo and give you 30 million euros and you give us Cancelo. Now, Juventus didn't like this deal. They didn't like it at all. They said we want 60 million euros up front. I think there's a couple of reasons. One, they paid a lot of money for the guy themselves, and two, they know City have got money. And the third reason I'll come to later is probably they need a little bit of money right now. So yeah, they wanted 60 million euros flat, cash, no Danilo. Now our issue at City was at the time, I believe have got 17 non-homegrown players in our squad, and the maximum you're allowed in your squad is 17. So it's kind of a case of one out to get one in. So unless we lost somebody, we couldn't get Cancelo, and you'd expect the right person to leave would be the person he'd be replacing, which is Danilo. So unless Danilo left, we couldn't get Cancelo, and on top of that, we had to strike a deal with Juventus. Now, if we sold Danilo somewhere else, yes, we could have given Juventus a cash deal. But yes, so Juventus were playing hardball. They wanted their 60 million. We certainly weren't going to pay 60 million and potentially not have proper use of a squad because we've got too many non-homegrown players, and the only other way to get around it would just be to leave Danilo out of the squad, which, you know, he's not great for the guy. He's not great for City. It's not great financially either. So, but a few days ago, Juventus came back and said, "Hey, City, can we do that deal? You know, on similar terms." So apparently, what Juventus wanted was 35 million euros, plus Danilo. City still want to pay 30 million euros plus Danilo. I suspect the actual final figure will be Danilo plus somewhere between 30 and 35 million euros. Kind of keeps everybody happy. But it's a funny thing. I mean, you know, why would people have asked me, why would Juventus want to sell someone like Cancelo? Because he's done reasonably well over there. He cost them a lot of money. So let's have a look first of all into a little bit of the history of Cancelo, and then we'll talk about the financial aspect, because I think that's playing a really important part in this deal. Now, Cancelo's 25 years old. He's Portuguese. He started at Benfica, went to play in Spain. Then he went out on loan to Inter Milan a couple of seasons ago, with the idea being that it was a loan with an option to permanent signing. Inter Milan, for whatever reasons, maybe they couldn't afford it, they chose not to exercise that option, and he was actually sold for 40 million euros to Juventus. So he spent last season at Juventus, and yeah, it was a high price tag. People thought, wow, that's a little bit too high. But I think he silenced his critics last season at Juventus. He played, I think, 26 games in the league, scoring 1 goal, and about, I think, 7 in Europe. So he played, I think, 34 games overall. There was another, probably a cup game chucked in there as well. So I think he played 34 games overall for Juventus, which is pretty good. So you'd ask yourself, why? Why on earth would Juventus want to let someone go who's now silenced his critics? He's got a lot of attacking attributes going forward. You know, and City and people like City are interested in him. Why would you let such a good player go? Well, they've already got that another good right back in Sandro, and I also believe potentially it could be a financial issue as well. Now, you've got to look at Juventus. If you know anything a little bit about accounting and finances, you can try and work things out. And this is what I tried to do. Now, last summer, they spent somewhere in the region of 250 million quid. 250 million pounds on new players. I mean, that's the season they signed Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, for a rumoured 105 million pounds. Now, they sold about, I think, 98 to 100 million pounds worth of players. So even though it's not a metric, they had a net spend of 150 million quid. Now, that's going to hurt them. That's going to hurt them because they're going to have to pay Ronaldo's wages. That's going to hurt a lot. Now, it's all rumour and conjecture. How much is Ronaldo getting? Is he getting 30, 40 million quid a year? 50 million quid a year? That's going to hurt you on your profit and loss account, which is what FFP, Financial Fair Play, is based upon. It's not based upon net spend. It's not really based upon your balance sheet. It's focused on your profit and loss account. And the Ronaldo fee, even if he was on a 5-year contract at Juventus and he was on 40 million quid a year in terms of salary, it was going to cost them somewhere in the region of 60 million pounds every year in their profit and loss account. Plus all the other purchases they made, it's going to hit them hard. Yeah, it's going to hit them very, very hard indeed. And this season, they've already bought Matthijs de Ligt, who, I mean, we're going to have to guess how much he cost because you've got to include the agent's fee as well. So he went for a rumoured 65 million quid, plus an agent's fee of about 50 million quid. That's 80 million quid. Even on a 5-year contract, that's 60 million pounds of amortisation. Add to that his wages, you're looking at the best part of 30 million quid a year that it's going to cost them to have Matthijs de Ligt. It's a staggering amount of money. So you've got to add all this together, and it looks like Juventus just might need to sell to balance the books for FFP, because they could get away with it last season because the purchases last summer wouldn't hit their accounts until the next set of accounts, which is basically now. So looking at the numbers behind this Cancelo deal, okay, they bought Cancelo for 40 million euros. They're selling him for, let's say, 60. His net book value was about 32 million euros. So I suspect they were making a profit on this sale of about 28 million euros in accounting terms. I don't want to go too deeply, but in accounting terms, they're making that much profit. And overall, with Danilo going the other way, I suspect Juventus are going to make about, in their books, at least 20 to 25 million euros profit. Now, that's going to help in accounting terms, yeah? It's going to make a huge difference to their profit and loss account. So that's why I believe it's a strong reason why Juventus have come back to City and said, we'll do the deal on your terms, or nearer to your terms, than rather than go for the 60 million euros. Money's out the way. Let's talk about Cancelo. What are we buying? Yeah, what are we actually buying with Cancelo? Well, we're buying a guy who started as a right winger. He actually started his career as a right winger and then moved to right back. He's a marauding right back. Yeah, he's got a lot of pace and speed, and looking at some of his stats, he averages I think 7 dribbles a game last season. 7 dribbles, and almost 70% success rate on those dribbles. So, you know, he's got a good. I think he's got a good technical level. He's an attacking fullback, in the same way Kyle Walker is. You know, as I said, marauding down that right wing. He hugs that touchline. I think one of the big differences for me, definitely, is I think he's a much better crosser of the ball than Kyle Walker. And reading some stuff in the Italian press, they suggest he's, you know, he prefers to cross it rather than pass the ball inside. Some of us fans would like that idea. We'd like our wingers to do the same, to cross the ball or take people on rather than cut the ball inside. I think his pace and direct running can terrorise defenders, because some of the things that defenders don't like, they don't like players with pace, and they don't like players to take them on. You know, they sometimes prefer for people to try cross the ball rather than take them on. But with this direct pace, this creativity, this dribbling, this offensive talent that he's got, I think we've got potentially a very, very, very good player for the next 5-6 years, because he's only 25 years old. So we're losing Danilo, who's 28. He's a bit part player, let's be quite honest. Only played, I think, 22 league games for City last season. And we're going to get a guy who's 25 years old, young enough to still learn under Pep Guardiola, the best manager in the world. Still young enough to learn. He's got potentially 6 or 7 years ahead of him. You can argue, well, what about Kyle Walker? And isn't he good enough? Well, what this is going to do for Kyle Walker, it's going to put a rocket up his backside. Yeah, Kyle Walker's going to realise that if he doesn't up his game again if he doesn't concentrate and focus and deliver at a consistent high level. Well, there's someone else waiting in the wings who's a very, very good player. Now, Kyle Walker struggled a bit last season at times, and actually he was lucky that Danilo was injured because as soon as Danilo was fit, Danilo came in the team and Kyle Walker was, depends how you want to look at it, rested or dropped. And then he came back, I think, stronger after that period of that period outside the first team, that period without starting games. So Kyle Walker came back stronger. So I think definitely Cancelo purchase will make Kyle Walker up his game. And if he doesn't, we've got a very capable person to come in and take his place. Guys, if you haven't already followed this relatively new YouTube channel, it'd be great if you could do so. It's dead easy. Just click that red button to subscribe. If you like the video, click like and hit that bell icon as well if you can, so you're notified as soon as we put new videos out. See you around, Blues.